Welcome one and all to Umami Manga. I'm Petter and this is James.
Hey!
And today we are talking about volume 15 of Kaiju number 8, the second to last volume of the manga. And this one starts with number 9 admitting defeat. Another seemingly more ancient kaiju with lots of eyes takes over number 9's body after number 9 appears to be defeated. This ancient Daikaiju seriously wounds Kafka. Mina, Soshiro, and Gen join the fight against this new kaiju. As Kafka is struggling to get back up, he is shown the past of the little kaiju guy inside him. Turns out the little guy was born out of the ghost samurai's grudge toward that kaiju that was inside of number 9. And in order to fight on, Kafka turns his heart into a kaiju core, knowing that he won't be able to turn back into human after that. And the volume ends with Gen and Soshiro struggling hard against the ancient Daikaiju, and Kaiju number 8 swooping in to attack the enemy. So we are right in the, what do you call it, right? the final climax.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, it feels like we're at that final boss, that final fight. So, yeah, there were some pretty cool reveals in this, but just like in, most of the previous volumes, or I shouldn't say most, the most recent volumes, it's a lot of action, nonstop action, great action. And so I think it's really building up to an epic finale. But my desire for knowing who the little guy is and getting backstory for that is finally getting answered here. So I'm very happy about that.
Same, absolutely. So yeah, without further ado, let's dive into these discussions, starting with Kafka Hibino. So it turns out that the little kaiju guy is the result of the grudge from the samurai that we've seen appearing as a ghost to us. And I thought it was pretty funny in a way to understand in this volume that the core conflict of the story kind of originated between this little guy inside Kafka and the Daikaiju that was inside number 9. And so in a way, Kafka and number 9 have kept this conflict going as representatives of these two who the conflict was originally between in a way. So I just thought that was pretty funny to understand that.
Yeah, in a lot of ways, Kaiju number 9 was exactly what Kafka is, just on the kaiju side. So
Right.
that's pretty fascinating. And yeah, the little guy being their grudge is certainly an idea I didn't think would happen. I mean, this is something that completely new. We didn't. There's no way we could know that grudges that strong could form a kaiju somehow. It makes sense now why it would be so violent against other kaiju per se.
Yeah.
Not sure why it would react violently to any other kaiju besides the big bad boss kaiju. But that's nitpicky. I mean, I'll get a little nitpicky here. Part of me wonders if this is actually the direction he was going to go, or even if he had any direction with this little kaiju, but this is just where he ended up landing. Because I guess I'm not saying it's unbelievable. I mean, how could I say that about any story really? I guess it's more so that it established something completely new to the understanding, or our understanding, the lore, that I'm not going to say it's disappointing, but it certainly was unexpected.
Yeah, right. I mean, we knew obviously there was a connection between the little kaiju guy and the ghost samurai. We just didn't know exactly what it was. I didn't think that they were in some way one and the same. Obviously, I don't know if that's entirely accurate to say it that way, but in some ways they are. Like the little guy carries
Mm-hmm.
on the ghost samurai's grudge.
Yeah.
Um,
Yeah.
I guess my assumption prior to this volume was more so that the little guy had given its powers to the ghost samurai similarly to as it's
Right.
in present day giving its powers to Kafka, but that wasn't quite the case.
No. No. And maybe that's an overdone trope or plot device that has been used in previous stories.
Yeah,
I
I
don't know,
suppose.
but
Mm,
this one this one I'll give it credit, is different.
yeah,
Um,
I like it
at least in
actually
my mind. I mean,
personally. I think it's
yeah,
nice.
I I don't hate it, and it definitely answered the question. What is the little guy?
Mm,
So in that I'm satisfied. I guess I was expecting something a little a little deeper in terms of kaiju lore rather than just these are actually just humans, you know. But that's again, it's just me
yeah,
being really nitpicky.
right. No, but that's still fair. And I guess, well, and regarding the point you made earlier about like why would the little kaiju guy get so heated over other kaiju
Mm-hmm.
other than the multi-eyed big one?
Mm-hmm.
I think it's fair considering that all of the like pretty much all kaiju are, well, they destroy humans, they destroy life, and like I think it's fair, like they represent the same thing, and obviously for the grudge to be strong, specifically strong against that one kaiju makes sense, but like I think it also makes sense
Mm-hmm.
for it to exist toward every kaiju.
Yeah, no, you're right. Because at the end of the day, it's still a kaiju made from human grudge. So
Yeah,
yeah, it's still gonna have that resentment towards all kaiju. No, I get it. I get it. It makes sense in the end. Um,
yeah,
but like forgetting about that nitpick of mine, I do like this idea that kaiju have been around for so long and mankind has been fighting against it. I guess particularly the Japanese have been fighting against it
yeah,
uh, for just as long.
yeah,
Even using the body parts of these kaiju. I guess it's the only way. Because I had wondered when we first kind of established this ancient era of kaiju fighting, how they could even take one down.
yeah.
Uh, and I guess somehow they got these instruments and were using it in a way that was useful or effective, I guess I should say, but detrimental to their body.
Yeah, like very straining and very difficult to wield and whatnot. Yeah, but still,
Yeah.
yeah, it is fascinating to see.
Going back to you mentioned how you kind of expected that the little guy had been passed down or originally was used by one of those ancient samurai. That was
Mm,
definitely my assumption or kind of my prediction. And maybe this is where predicting or assuming something can ruin a story for someone. I'm not saying it's ruined the story for me, but I'm almost a little bummed that that's
ah,
not the case. You know, uh,
right.
that there is a power that exists to help man fight the kaiju, or using the kaiju's powers against it. I guess technically that's what it is. Um,
Right, right.
is
It is what
that
it became. Yeah.
right? Yeah. And just Kafka's the first one to use the little guy, supposedly. I actually
Right.
don't know.
Supposedly, right. But we don't really know, but I guess we can only assume since like when Kafka appeared, or sorry, when Kaiju number 8 appeared, like that
Hmm.
was a huge thing. Like that
Yeah.
was one of the few, relatively few, or so, like comparatively few, like classified
Hmm.
kaiju threats. Like he was the eighth one, and I feel like if there had been a previous holder of that power, then it would have probably been one of the other classified kaijus, but it
Mm,
probably isn't.
yeah. Yep. I just want to say overall, I like the little guy's backstory, because now we know, and it's not
Mm.
completely unbelievable. Even if I said it was slightly unconventional, or implied it was slightly unconventional, I do think it's a good backstory.
Yeah, and like I'll also add one last thing about that. I like it gave me when I read it, it gave me like the vibes that I would get from something that just feels super old and ancient, a
Mm.
like a just such a strange happening, or like such a strange occurrence that would never happen in present day. Obviously, the whole story is very fictional and like unrealistic, but like it feels like something that would happen in the ancient past, and that it would make sense there, but not necessarily in present day. But I can buy it because it's so long ago. It's I don't know. It's a weird thing perhaps, but just something it gave me like a primeval like magic vibe
Mm.
somehow. I don't know.
Yeah. Yeah.
Um, I thought it was neat.
Hmm.
But in true shonen fashion, of course, Kafka would turn his heart into a kaiju core in order to keep fighting. Of course, he's got to go beyond,
Yeah.
never stop.
Yeah. So your prediction from last time might be true here,
Right. It could.
because you were saying, because I don't know if you've changed your mind or not, but you were saying that Kafka will remain a kaiju and by the end of the story. I believe
Yeah,
that's what you were saying, right?
I did, and I still mostly feel that way. Obviously, after this volume, I feel like I can't really
I mean,
backtrack on
pretty strong case.
that. um, so yeah, that is exciting, I think. And I think it's interesting to see Kafka take this step, even though I guess I had in a way called it, or well, not exactly this, obviously, but like I think it's interesting to see him take this kind of drastic of a measure. Um, and like, what exactly does this mean for Kafka moving forward?
Yeah.
I guess we could
Yeah.
discuss that in predictions later on, if you'd like.
Okay.
More like the
Sure.
details of what we think is coming for him,
Mm-hmm.
or what's left for him, or whatever.
Mm-hmm. But I respect the resolve. You know,
Hmm.
he's willing to do anything at this point, and it's kind of necessary. I mean, yeah, he's given a choice, and you always have a choice. But if you take the lead the path of least resistance, become a human, well, game over. The world's doomed. Or
Right.
I don't know. I don't know if that's exactly what would happen, but at the very least, you're not coming out of this alive. So
Yeah, precisely. So I guess in a way he didn't have much of a choice, but he still did have the choice. Like
he
technically, he
did.
had the choice,
He did.
and he made the
I,
choice.
even
So yeah.
even though one choice it might seem to be the only choice you can make, there's always just I won't do anything, and
Yeah.
then you have the consequences of those actions. So he made the right choice here, I think.
I think so too. Hmm. But anything more on Kafka?
No, that's it.
Then let's move on to Kaiju number 9. So, for a long time, Kaiju number 9 hid himself from other humans, or from other humans, from humans, period, because he thought he was weak, and that his only kind of strong part, well, his only strength was his intellect. But then, as it seemed to be somewhat in recent time, based on how the guy
Yeah.
looked that he had killed, uh, Kaiju number 9 realized that he was stronger than humans, and that's kind of when he started, I guess, to become the problem that he has been in the series. And he encountered this Meireki era Daikaiju with all those eyes, which now appears to be the main villain of the series, kind of. And he has been holding that kaiju inside him since, similarly to the little guy inside Kafka, this Daikaiju also doesn't have a shape of its own, apparently. So it's been using number nine's body.
Yeah, as we were saying, he's basically the kaiju version of Kafka.
Yeah.
Um, Now, we don't know exactly where this Daikaiju has come from, you know.
Right.
Uh, but I think at the very least, a lot of Kaiju numbers 9 power and influence has come from this uh, bigger monster. Um, I don't know exactly why or how this all came to be. I mean, he says he found it, but in
Yeah.
the flashback or the panel, it was already pretty big versus Kaiju number 9. So I
Yeah.
don't know how it would have chosen to reside inside of it, but maybe it just wasn't strong enough at that time for whatever reason.
Yeah. I wonder if, because in that image that we see when number nine encounters the Daikaiju, doesn't it look? I don't know if it looks identical, but it looks relatively similar to how it looked in the like 400 years ago when it was fighting the samurai.
Mm-hmm.
Like, well, actually, to my point, it doesn't really matter if it looks like how similar it looks, but obviously we recognize it because of all the eyes. Um,
Mm-hmm.
and my thinking is that it was probably in both of those instances, it's lending somebody else's body, somebody else's shape, probably,
Mm-hmm.
or that it was able to inhabit. And when number nine encountered it, it probably saw something in number nine. It saw maybe the humanoid form or the fungus abilities that we know number nine has. Maybe it wanted to be able to utilize those abilities, or maybe more crucial, number nine's intellectual capabilities, which seem to be relatively unique for kaiju. And so, well, I guess we don't know too much about this new Daikaiju, but it seems
Yeah.
like it might not have the same intellect as number nine has.
Okay.
And so without number nine, like at this point, like number nine is seemingly dead. Or no, or I don't know. His body is still fighting. I don't know exactly what to say about number nine, but so regardless, now that number nine is defeated, he might not be dead, but he's defeated. Now
Mm-hmm.
that the multi-eyed kaiju is using his body, I'm getting the feeling that it's not as smart anymore. Like it's just a force of nature, like just
Mm.
an evil, chaotic power.
Maybe. Yeah. That's a certainly a possibility. I think for sure, and we'll find out this next volume, is that it can't communicate with humans. It doesn't have that kind of intellect, and I think that's the
Mm-hmm.
intellect it Kaiju number 9 meant. I mean, yes, Kaiju number 9 is smart and grew in his knowledge and things like that, but I think because his starting ability was the ability to think and have the ability to communicate. I think that's what he claims made him special at first, at least. And so maybe by losing Kaiji number 9, uh, at least who he is, that means the Meideki uh, Daikaiju can't communicate anymore, or it can't, just can't.
Yeah,
um,
right.
I think Kaiju number 9 as a individual person is dead, or an individual kaiju is dead. It has simulated into the abomination that is this uh, Mireki Daikaiju.
Mm-hmm.
And I think because of that, it loses that communication and it just becomes this 100% not mindless, but purely instinctual. type of creature.
Right. And I think I mostly agree with that. I just don't know
Yeah.
exactly to what extent Kaiju number 9 is gone. It's hard to
Yeah,
know.
I mean, are we gonna get a miraculous return and he saves everyone from the Daikaiju,
Oh
which
no.
would be so out of left field and pointless. Like I don't need to have Kaiju number 9 be the savior. It has
No.
not been built up. There's no sympathy really for
Yeah.
this guy.
No.
But no, I guess where I'm more so curious or hung up on is, yeah, what truly is number nine's relation with this Daikaiju? Was it secretly part of this Daikaiju all along and just needed to take time in order to reach a certain point? Um, did did Kaiju number nine happen to find it, and then it immediately assimilated? Is it because that Kaiju number nine has that intellect, ability to strategize, that it was able to somehow contain the Daikaiju,
Hmm.
uh, at least temporarily?
That's interesting.
Because in the previous volume, he talks to Mina about not being able to control the the kaiju within himself after a certain point, or something along those lines.
Yeah. Yes, something like that.
So I don't know if it's a thing where he accepted it and he's holding it back, or it's just in hiding until this point. But I think based on this volume particularly, it shows that Kaiju number nine was holding it back with his, just with his sense of being. Um, and then now that that's gone,
Mm-hmm.
it's just this ultimate creature.
Right. That makes sense, I think. Because I was initially thinking like maybe the multi-eyed Daikaiju was using number 9 and like using number nine's capabilities and like just letting number 9 be in charge for the time being
Mm-hmm.
because number nine's actions were leading to something good for the multi-eyed Daikaiju. But thinking about it a little more, that doesn't really make sense if we are to assume that the multi-eyed Daikaiju doesn't have that type of intellect. Like it wouldn't be able
Mm-hmm.
to like strategize like that. I would assume in that case. So I think I prefer your idea there about it actually being something with number 9 being able to keep it at bay.
Yeah, but to I'll add like even further.
Uh,
Kaiju number nine does said as if he was guided to it. Um,
right.
so maybe there is kind of this, you know, magic energy type thing going on that this Daikaiju can use to control others or influence others. Um, and maybe not so much that it's planning ahead, but more so it's just instinctually uh, using other kaiju. Again, we really don't know how much it can think ahead or it can plan, but
Yeah.
just interesting to think about. I do think it does act very similarly to a parasite, though. Um, when you see how it took over the dead kaiju from all those centuries ago,
Right.
um, and then how it kind of took over kaiju number nine. Um,
Yeah.
yeah, it does seem to behave very similarly.
Hmm.
I guess one other thing I'll say about it is that maybe when Kaiju number nine found it, like that panel where we
Mm.
see this abomination, maybe that was just a representation of what this kaiju feels like, or the presence
Right.
feels like. but in reality, it was small enough to be inside Kaiju, or eventually get inside Kaiju number 9. Um, I think it would make even more sense, and this is just me guessing, but it would make more sense if Kaiju number 9 found it, thought he could use it for his own gain, and then went from there, you know?
Yeah.
But then quickly found out, wait a minute, maybe I'm in over my head here.
Right. Yeah, I wonder.
Just my thoughts.
Man, yeah, it's interesting. Like, there's so this volume really gave us a lot of like new things to think about here at the very end of the manga, kind of. So I don't know. Um, at the same time, like these types of things regarding this kaiju, for example, personally, I don't feel like I need like an origin or a too much of an explanation about this daikaiju. I feel like it's
Mm.
okay for it to just be kind of, yeah, like this force of nature, kind of this chaotic
Mm-hmm.
being. Because I think number 9 did a good enough job at like being, I guess, the face of the villain up until this point. So I think I don't know. I think I'm satisfied, even if I don't understand this one completely.
I personally, I think I would want at least someone in the story to give an idea of what it is.
Hmm.
Um, and it could just be like a theory, but that's just my theory. Something like that.
Oh
And I
yeah.
think I'd be satisfied that at least we get some sort of explanation. Otherwise, in a manga that doesn't really let the readers interpret it for themselves, to suddenly have something like that that's up to interpretation,
Hmm.
I don't know. Kind of seems like uh, whiplash a little bit, but I don't know. I wouldn't be incredibly upset, and it wouldn't change my score of the overall manga. I don't think, but having some sort of at least theory would be ideal for me.
That's fair. But anything more on these kaiju?
I did write down, if no one has escaped the beast, as number 9 ominously says, how did the world survive for this long? And I guess I went on to answer my own question in my notes.
Uh-huh.
I guess it only lasted 100 days, according to the samurai, or something like that. It lasted until a certain point, and then it just, I guess, lost its power. I guess similar to how something goes on a rampage, and then eventually it would just stop out of exhaustion. I guess that was
Right.
the saving grace for them. I don't know. It does seem almost like a impossible task, or an impossible force to stop. Now, how could it have ever been stopped in the past without a kaiju number 8? You know what I mean?
Yeah, no, I think either what you said, like it just ran its course and it's I don't know, needed to catch its breath. I don't know. Um, or it's tied to this the fact that it doesn't have a form of its own, and so maybe it was like maybe it now this is pretty headcanon-y, so I'll warn you, but
uh,
just a thought that came to mind for me right now, like the shape that it was in at the time was worn out, perhaps. So
mm,
like the being in itself was still fine, but the physical body that it was in was worn out and couldn't be used to do all those chaotic things anymore. And
interesting.
so it took a long time for it to find a new body.
Yeah, I like that. I like
Perhaps.
that. I don't know why it took so long to find a new body.
Yeah, I don't know.
Um,
There's a lot we
but
don't know.
yeah, a lot we don't.
Hmm.
But yeah, I like that. See,
Hmm.
it's stuff like that that I would kind of like to be at least touched on a little
Yeah.
bit,
No, that's fair.
but I get
Definitely.
it. I get it.
All right then. Unless there's anything more, I guess we move into our final predictions for Kaiju number 8.
Whew.
And I'd like to kick it off by discussing Kafka or Kaiju number 8, whatever we'll call him at this point, and what's what's happening to him. So, like, what exactly does it mean to have your heart turned into a kaiju core? Like, for one, we know that it means, or at least we're told that it means that Kafka will never be able to turn back into human again. That's one thing that we know,
Mm.
or that we've been told, as I said. Like,
Mm-hmm.
but will everything else be the same? Like, other than him not being able to turn back into human shape, will everything else about him remain the same? Like, will his personality and his humanity remain all the same, just in his Kaiju number 8 form? Or will he actually lose his humanity along with his human body and just become, I guess, a different force of nature, one that probably would be opposing Kaiju, but with nothing left of Kafka himself in there? Like, I feel like,
Mm-hmm.
obviously we don't know that, but it's interesting to think about. And I guess my thought on that, if he is stuck in the kaiju form and we don't know whether he will be, well, have humanity or be a beast through and through, my guess is ultimately that he will have humanity. He will still remain Kafka on the inside, because I don't think it's that kind of a story that would do such a thing to its protagonist at the end.
Agreed.
Um, so assuming he is stuck in the monstrous or kaiju form, he will at least have, well, his humanity on the inside. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, I agree. I don't think that he'd become complete kaiju without any sort of human uh, personality or anything like that. I think he'll retain the Kafka we always know. This has kind of always been the danger of staying in the kaiju form for too long, right?
Yeah.
And now they just kind of made it more uh, fatal by saying, "Yeah, well, there's not even a chance. Like you're gonna stay a kaiju."
Uh-huh.
I don't know. There's a part of me that just can't believe that he's gonna remain a kaiju the entire time. And I think it is because of the story that it is. Although I would respect and think it quite brave to have your main character remain a kaiju the entire time, or after once the story's over.
Yeah.
And I'm not saying he's a chicken, but I am saying that it just feels that the tone of the story would be somehow miraculously after they defeat the Daikaiju, the grudge dissolves,
Mm-hmm.
and so does his Kaiju number 8 powers. Now, I think that would mean he doesn't have a heart, right? So maybe there needs to be some sort of miraculous medical team that comes and somehow gives him a new heart. I don't know.
Well, I did actually have a similar thought as like a completely different option to the previous speculation I gave, which is
Uh-huh.
similar to the one that you just said, being
Mm.
that after the ancient Daikaiju has been defeated, this 400-year-old grudge will vanish, and this really being a best case scenario, that would allow Kafka's kaiju core to revert back into a heart. And
Oh,
that would, I guess that would be pretty beautiful, but it would be also be very, like,
convenient.
yeah, it would be convenient, and like, especially after the stakes were raised as they were, and
Mm-hmm.
I don't know, it would feel a little cheap to just kind of backpedal on that.
Mm. So what if it was a situation where the cord disappears, but his heart doesn't reappear, and then they somehow, give him a new heart or like bring him
Like a
back to
heart
life? I don't
transplant,
know.
yeah, I mean,
Yeah, yeah.
that would be interesting.
Would you be more okay with that, or would you think that's just way too much?
I don't know. Actually, I don't know. I guess I would be quite fine ultimately with either of those options. In a way, I mean, honestly, because I could even appreciate the core reverting to a heart, because, I mean, it was turned from a heart into a core, so what's to say it can't be turned from a core into a heart?
Right. But then to your point, it does kind of make the previous choice ultimately worthless, or
Yeah,
pointless. And
right.
maybe they'll mention that it's like, oh, we just wanted to test you, or we needed to make sure your resolve was true, or something like that. Of course, you turn
Yeah.
back to human.
Yeah, I mean, ultimately, I would prefer for Kafka to stay in kaiju form.
Uh,
That is
I
ultimately
mean, I get
my
it.
preference.
Sure. I'm just too much of a Kafka Mina shipper to not be okay with this.
They can still kiss.
I, I mean, she's got to be open to experiment with certain ways because his body works differently as a kaiju as established in the very first volume.
Yeah.
Um, but
Uh,
I mean, yeah, like, it could still be beautiful. I mean, personally, I think if he becomes or stays a kaiju, he's probably gonna distance himself mostly from society.
aw.
Um, and Mina will stay where she is, and they'll be fighting or fighting on the same side in a way, the side of humanity, but still apart.
I don't think that would have to be the case. I feel like he's got this strong relationship, friendship to like all these guys in the defense force. He
True,
would stay with them and be fighting with the defense force, I feel like. Even if he was in a kaiju form permanently.
true, and it's kind of what he was doing already, except he could transform back into a human. Yeah, I don't know, but I think we can both agree that Kafka's not gonna die, right? Are we gonna
Yes.
agree on that?
Definitely. I think we agree both on that Kafka won't die, and we also agree that Kafka won't like lose his humanity, like
No,
lose himself, his
no,
personality and whatnot. Like,
I don't think so.
mm.
I mean, maybe he'll try to pull listen to your heart, or it's me. Don't you recognize me? Like maybe they'll do something like I don't know. But I think we've kind of already done that in a way. Did we do that? Yeah, we did. Yeah, when he fought Isao, right? Like that was
Yes. Oh
he kind of
yeah,
lost
right.
himself a little bit, and then
That's
he
true.
came back.
But I feel like they could still do like a fake out like at the start of the next volume. Like maybe they'll try to lead the reader to believe that he's lost himself in the beast,
Uh huh.
but then it'll turn out that he didn't. What do you think about Gen Narumi's current status?
I don't think he'll die. I don't think anybody's gonna die. I don't
All
think
right,
that's gonna happen. No
that's
deaths
good.
besides the Daikaiju. Yeah.
That's good. Yeah, I asked specifically about Narumi, obviously, because he seems to be in the most dire situation here at the end of the volume. But yeah, no, oh no, I want to be with you there. He'll live. He'll be all right.
Yeah. I wouldn't mind if somehow one of these guys ended up sacrificing themselves or if it did turn to the worst. I mean, I would be really sad because I do like these characters.
Mm-hmm.
Um but I don't think I don't think it would feel unwarranted or, a forceful tearjerker. But that all said, I just don't think it's gonna happen. I think they'll all live and um we'll get to see them after the fight.
Yeah, I'll second that. Any other predictions?
Yeah. I don't think we're going to find out the origins of the kaiju. I think you mentioned that earlier as well, but I just want to reinforce that I don't think
Mm,
we're gonna we're gonna find that. Or I think you were talking about the origin of the Daikaiju itself, but
yeah.
I really don't think I'll go a step further. I really don't think we'll figure out what the kaiju are. And all
Oh,
we know
like the
really is
kaiju as a
that where
whole.
they
Like,
yeah. Like
gotcha.
because as I predicted it before, I don't think the kaiju will go away. I think they'll still need this defense force. They'll still need Kafka, I guess, if he's still Kaiju number 8. They'll
Yeah.
still need them,
Uh-huh.
um, because they're fighting Kaiju, and the story won't go into detail on what they are exactly.
Right. Like, unfortunately, I just think kaiju are just a thing of this world. Like, you
Right.
can't, like, it's probably always been there, probably will always remain
It's a
there.
natural phenomenon,
Yeah, yeah.
and and they've touched on this trench or this the source or something like that before.
Mm.
Like they mentioned in this volume, the grudge of the samurai went down into you remember what I forget the term they said, but they went down into some plates or some
Yeah.
part of the underworld, and that's basically where it ended up forming a kaiju. Um, and that's good enough for me. Yeah,
Oh, yeah.
uh, just some sort of natural phenomena, and then this curse energy, if you will, um, went seeped down into it, and that formed the little guy. So, yeah, I think
Mhm.
that's good enough for me.
Uh-huh.
And then I say, obviously they'll win, and things will go back to normal for this world at the very least.
Yeah.
Um,
Normal for this world's standard.
right, right. I guess we're a little different in that you think or are counting on Kafka staying as a kaiju, and I think he'll go back to human.
Mm.
But I think we're both on the same wavelength in that, yeah, you know, they'll go back to how things were.
Yeah.
You know, it's not like the world is saved, well, perpetually.
Yeah, and like, yeah, precisely. This huge threat will be gone, and they'll continue fighting lesser threats.
Uh-huh.
And who knows, maybe there will be bigger threats in the future, but they'll handle that too.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, who knows? Maybe the Daikaiju will come back.
Yeah.
that's for that's for future uh, people to figure that out.
Uh-huh.
That's it. That's it for me.
All right. Then who was your star of this volume?
We really didn't talk much about him, but I'm gonna say again, Nanami. I think
All right.
that
Nice.
he had a great performance here, and we even got a little bit of understanding of his rivalry with Hoshina.
Yes. That was nice.
Yeah, and that's about it. I mean, it just again, this volume was just pure action for the most part. Well, obviously some backstory. Yeah, we got some good backstory. Uh,
Mhm.
but the meat of it was the action, and I think Nanami's stuff was freaking awesome. So
Oh yeah. Good pick. My star for this volume is actually based on that good backstory we got. I went with, well, I wrote down the Ghost Samurai slash the little guy as my star, and yeah, just because I was so happy to get that backstory, and
true.
I thought it was good, and I feel like that great tragedy that it depicted, it certainly justified a great grudge,
Yeah.
and I also appreciate how they're not using Kafka simply as an instrument for their revenge, but they're actually, despite the really strong grudge, they're giving Kafka the choice to make the call himself, whether he wants to become a beast. Like,
Yeah.
I like that.
Yeah. Yeah. It's really for the sake of humanity that they're there. I mean, yes,
Mm,
it's revenge, but they're also trying to save humanity, trying to do something they couldn't do, I guess,
yeah,
in the past.
right.
Even though humanity is still around. Don't think about it too much.
Yeah, but it's kind of like the unfinished business of a ghost. Like, it's staying
Yes,
around until it finishes its business, kind of.
exactly. You know, it does get a little yokai-ish. You
Yeah,
know,
yeah.
um, kind of like a Japanese folk story, uh, in a way.
Hmm. I like that.
Yeah, I do too.
So yeah, now we can only wait for that final volume to release in English. Or actually, maybe
Yeah.
you can read it already if you're reading it
Oh, I can actually.
somewhere. Yeah.
I can, and I probably will. Yeah, I probably will tonight. We'll
Exciting.
see.
I will wait for the physical book. I'm assuming it's
Right.
coming out sometime in summer. It'll probably come out.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm very stoked for that. Another series
Yeah.
ending, as several
Man.
series are ending around now. Like we're having Jujutsu Kaisen is also just about to end. To Your Eternity is not far from over. Vinland
Mm-hmm.
Saga is also ending this year. So yeah, it's a very exciting time to be reading manga on our podcast.
Yeah, we're saying goodbye to a lot of stories that have been with us for a while on
Uh-huh.
Mummy Manga.
Definitely.
But
But yeah, dear listeners, let us know who was your star of this volume. And if you haven't read the last volume, what are your predictions for it? And I guess that's all for this episode? Or
I can't think of anything.
lovely, then that is all. So, if you enjoy our podcast, please share it with your friends. You'll find links to our social media in the description, and you can support us by rating our show on the podcast platforms and subscribing to our channel, Umami Manga, on YouTube. Thank you so much for listening, and we'll see you next time when we'll talk about Volume 16. Bye bye!
See you later.
And
But
in true, or
I'll put it
sorry,
out.
you,
Oh, go ahead. No,
no, no,
well,
no, you.